Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Jordan and today I am here with a wrap-up video of what I read in October. Guys, there is 2 months, officially 2 months left in 2019. That is crazy, but I'm excited for this video because I had a really good reading month. So let me not waste any time and get into the books that I read. I will start off with the books I had to return to the library, starting off with Jacqueline Woodson's Red at the Bone. Y'all, I love this book. Okay, spoiler, I love this book. Wait, before I even get into the book, let me, about my feelings about it, I'll just give you a little synopsis. Okay, so Red at the Bone is a story about basically almost 3 generations. Well, really 3 generations. And it starts off where you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on, but it's following the journey of a 15-year-old girl, her mother and father, as well as their parents. And it jumps through, so you can't even say who it's really technically following because it's following all of their journeys. But it's basically like there was a teen pregnancy that happened that shaped the lives of all of these people and kind of like their stories behind it. And, you know, when you're reading about the book, it says it tackles like wealth and different socioeconomic statuses amongst African Americans, and it does tackle that, but in perfect Jacqueline Woodson form. This is a story about people, like, I mean people. I don't know how Jacqueline Woodson does it, but every time when she be writing, she makes these characters just real. Like, you see them, you feel what they feel, and I just love her writing. So I feel like if you love Jacqueline Woodson, definitely give this one a read. I'm not saying it's my favorite Jacqueline Woodson book because that I still think is another Brooklyn, but I love this book. I really want to do a standalone review. I feel like that would take away the whole fun of the book if I talk too much about it, because that was really what it was about. I will say that I absolutely loved the deep dive into, it wasn't a deep dive like that, but it was, oh my God. Okay. I love the dive into every character's journey of what made them them. And yeah, there's like the father element that's within there. There's a mother element. I think it's, yeah, if I talk about it, I'm going to give away too much. I'm sorry, I just rambled and I can't even talk about it because if I talk about it, I'm going to spoil the book. Maybe I will do a standalone review and then have that video be for people who read it. I will say, if you are a part of a book club and you're looking for a book club, I feel like that book is perfect. It's not long. It's easy to read once you get into the beginning and get out of the confusion and realize what's going on. The story just picks up. There can be a lot of discussion within that book about so many different topics and feelings. So that's my plug for Red at the Bone. I loved it. The next book that I'm talking about is my only 5-star this month. This book was amazing. This is Everything Inside by Edwidge Danticat. This is one that I will be purchasing to own. So you know I loved it. So I love Edwidge Danticat anyways. All of her books have not been books that I have been so amazed by. There have been a few misses for me. So, you know, when I got this book, I was prepared that, you know, not everything's going to live up to Creek Crack for me. Creek Crack, to me, one of her best works. You know, not everything is going to be a butterfly's way, you know. But this, oh my gosh, Everything Inside. This is a collection of short stories. And this is, Creek Crack still might be my favorite from her, but this is right behind it. I like this more than The Butterfly's Way. Like, I love this. The stories, each individual story, like, I mean, I can tear up thinking about some of these stories. They were so real, and so I love it when you have like these flawed stories of flawed characters of real people. It feels like real people that you know, and you're telling their stories. There's certain stories that they just pull at your heartstrings and you just feel every word on every page. You're there with the person, you feel it, you get it. I love this. I love this book. I did a combination of reading the stories as well as at my library. They actually had this on audiobook, so I was able to listen to some of them. Because for those of you who don't know, Edwidge Danticat, she is Haitian American. So a lot of the time she features Haitian characters as well as other Caribbean characters, which was the same as within this story. She did. So with the pronunciation on certain things, I'm just curious on how it's going to sound. And I thought it was narrated beautifully. And this is so much. Like, I feel everything about this book. This was amazing. Like, amazing. So if you liked Creek Crack, you will love this. Like, love this. It's funny because on the front it says Clear of the Sea Light. That book I actually didn't really like. So when it was saying, like, and it had Brother I'm Dying. Oh my God, I love Brother I'm Dying. That was another one that was like, that's her story. So that, of course, Edwidge Danticat, I'm rambling. This was amazing. I loved it. One of my favorite or best from her. The next book that I read was another good read. This was Pet. This was young adult. And it's labeled as young adult, but it almost felt middle grade to me. It felt very middle grade. I feel like this would be good for anybody who's like in elementary or middle school, all the way up to clearly my age, so a full out adult. But I thought this was a very cool story. This is almost like a play on monsters. It's basically diving into a society where they have gotten rid of all the monsters, like all the horrible people who have done horrible things. So in this new society, there are no bad people. So there are no need or reasons for prisons. There are no reasons for really anything. It's just a safe place, so you think. But, you quickly learn that, yes, it's safer and it's a lot better because the society is more welcoming and more open, but you can never get too comfortable. Make sure you look out for certain signs and certain things. So I like this book for that, and I feel like this book was a very creative, cool way of doing it. I also really like the main character. I don't want to give away too much about the main character once again, because I feel like part of uncovering who the character is, who she is the beauty of the read as well, because when you're able to write and tell your story, that's all that you have. I don't know. I just really liked this and appreciated this book. So this was another 4-star for me. Next up is Laguardia. I mean, I can't even get into this. Like, look at I don't even think you can see how gorgeous this is. Like, any place that I go on this, like, you're going to look and it's just illustrated so beautifully. So Laguardia, it is science fiction, but it is very prevalent. Some of you guys might be like, this, when you're reading it might seem kind of weird, but it's really not. It's like present day situations. If you guys remember when the travel ban was first issued and all of that, that's what basically had this story kind of come about, to actually be put on print. And it's almost satire, it's almost like satire, but it's not. It's sad in that way that it's not, but it's a beautiful story in the way that it was told and the vision that you have. And if you follow the author on Twitter, you already can tell that the author is really into like plants and nature and like animals and all sorts of stuff. So all of that within basically like within science fiction and a graphic novel. If you like the Binti series, you will like this. Oh, last but not least, I almost forgot, was The Water Dancer by Ta-nehisi, which you guys can check out my standalone review for that. That was another book that I ended up really liking with The Water Dancer. If you're not familiar, that book is based around Hiram, who is a young boy, or a young man, I should say, and it's kind of his coming to age story. He is part of the task, or he is an enslaved person, and he can remember every single detail of his life except for his mother. The story is about so many things, but it's primarily touches on separation, the humanity of enslaved people, and some of the inhumane actions that were put upon them, and what type of society could something like this occur in. And he has some special elements that they add within it, but really the story is kind of about the individual people, their stories, and not even so much Hiram. Even though Hiram is the focal point, a lot of the supporting characters are the drives. Overall, I really enjoyed the book. The book did have a slower start where there were periods where I was kind of like, I almost wanted to give up because it was heavy and it was slower for me to get through. But then once I got through it, I understood more so as to why, and I felt like that was intentional, and it ended up being worth it in the end because the book ended up being a really good read. It was 4 stars for me. And yeah, you can hear all the intricacies of the details and all that stuff in my standalone. That is all that I read for October. I hope you guys had an amazing reading month. As always, if you guys have read anything that I discussed or talked about, let's talk about it below. That's really like why I love doing these videos, is for that. So let's go ahead and keep the discussion going on below. Love and light, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.